We have been noticing a lot of traction on Grok, which is the new AI-enabled search engine as far as the social media platform X goes. There's been a lot of hangama over ChatGPT and of course as far as the other social media platforms are concerned. What government sources have told to us is that as far as Grok is concerned, there are certain concerns which have been raised that there is easy usage of, say, some Hindi slang, some of which may be considered derogatory in nature. And that is where the government had decided to step in. That is why the government wants a certain amount of regulation, and it has got in touch with the social media platform X to raise this concern that how Grok can actually be misused. And it's not just about Grok, it's also about ChatGPT, it is also about other social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, even WhatsApp, and of course the big one, which is X. What government sources are telling us is that a certain amount of self-regulation is accepted, but at the end of the day, it's all about following the law of the land. The dilemma is that on one hand, we talk about freedom of speech and expression. We also talk about how these social media platforms and Groks and ChatGPT are becoming increasingly popular and also inevitable. On multiple platforms, the Prime Minister has admitted this. He's also trying to come out with some kind of an encouraging policy as far as usage of artificial intelligence or AI is concerned. But I remember one word of the Prime Minister that very often the problem with these AI-generated search engines like Grok as well as ChatGPT is that the right hand may not know what the left hand is doing, or the right hand says something and the left hand says something which is completely in stark contradiction. So how much seriously should you take them? That's the big issue. While the government has been focusing on self-regulation, that people should understand the laws of the country, the sensitivity of the content, and how it can be easily impressionable as well as manipulated, especially since a large number of young people are using these kind of platforms. Therefore, it is up to you, it is up to these social media platforms as well as its users to exercise discretion. And that is where the government says we don't want to step in. But recently, X has taken the matter to the Karnataka High Court, where they have raised the point that the government is using the IT Act to clamp down on them, or that is that they are conducting censorship. Well, government sources are saying that this is absolutely incorrect. There's no question of censorship. You do have the freedom to use these kind of platforms and search engines like ChatGPT or Grok in your sphere of work and even otherwise. But you also have to understand that this is all about self-regulation, or if you want to call it self-censorship. You should understand how much it should be used, in which way it should not be misused, because a large number of people who may be impressed by it, and especially a large number of young people. So self-regulation is the mantra. But we also have an IT Act in place, which essentially talks about controlling those, or regulating, I would say, those content which are considered to be derogatory, abusive, or sexual contents which are considered to be abusive, something which can threaten the national integrity or the security of the country. And there's nothing wrong if this IT Act is used to bring about a certain amount of regulation. What top government sources have told us when we asked them this question about how these AI-generated search engines are being monitored, what we have been told is that the law of the land will have to be followed. Remember when Elon Musk had first bought over what was earlier called Twitter, he had admitted on record that wherever in the country we are operating, we have to follow the law of the land. This is of course in the context of China. But even now, Indian government is making it very clear to Elon Musk and also to other search engines that please understand that while we respect, we welcome you, but you also have to follow the law of the land. And here there is no contradiction as far as the freedom of expression and speech is concerned. So while you have the freedom to search and use ChatGPT or Grok or use the social media platforms, but that stops somewhere. There's a Lakshman Rekha which has to be followed. Ideally, the government wants you to follow it in terms of self-regulation, but where you don't, where you're stubborn, that is where the government makes the larger point that the law of the land will prevail, which means the IT Act, wherever it is required, is going to step in to ensure that it is in sync with the sensitivity as well as national interest and security.